My name is Meenakshi Chaudhary Kamar, and apart from what I do in the sense that I'm a writer, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a social activist, and I'm a homemaker. But probably I'm a miracle actually. I'm buzzing with cells, full of life, dancing around, and with this philosophy that you live once. So this is me, Meenakshi. I was about 4 years old when I went to Africa, Nigeria. My father was on deputation there. He was a mathematics professor. So I've done my education from Africa, and I call that my first country usually, because wherever you have done your childhood, that's what the place is for you. So I grew up there, riding bicycles, reading Enid Blytons, eating chocolates, and I'm a very human person. So even as a child, I used to connect with people a lot. So it was when those sandstorms, because it's near Sahara Desert, so when those sandstorms used to come to that part of our where we used to live, that is in Lagos or Kano or Bauchi or Toro. These are the places there that we were transferred to. My father was transferred because he was teaching in a college there, so naturally we kept on shifting there. That was great fun for me. I remember I used to sit near a window and watch those sandstorms. And when it used to rain, we used to have these big, I'll say small, swimming pools made by mud water. And we would really enter those and really have a good time. And that's where I learned swimming. I have grown every vegetable possible. I have grown dals, all pulses there, because Indian food was not available, and my childhood was very multicultural. So we had we celebrated all religions, we celebrated all festivals, we celebrated Eid, we celebrated Christmas, Diwali. It was good fun there. And I came back when I was 13 and a half, 14 years old, and that's why I say that it's it's a country that I cherish even now. Well, in the beginning when we came back, it was not so easy, in the sense that I spoke Hausa, that was the original language in Nigeria. I spoke French, I spoke English. My dad spoke English. My mother also spoke English, but she did speak Hindi in between. But when we came from Nigeria, and my dad told us that we have left that country, and I'll say he cheated on us in a way, because when we saw that things were being packed up and we said, where are we going? So he said, we are going to India. So he said, that's your country, our country is Nigeria. He said, no, we'll come back. So we were like, okay, he said it, so we'll come back. But it didn't happen that way. And for about 2-3 months, we acted funny and I'll say sullen a little bit, because we didn't accept India as India. And I still remember we used to take, we had Nairo and Kobas as the money that we used to use in Nigeria. So I didn't take rupees to the shops in India. I used to take Naira and Kobo and make it sure that, see, I'm not from here. I have only this money, and please, you have to use this money. But then slowly, I think he took a better decision, because he was mature, he was elder to us, he understood. So then he started telling us that we are not going back, and I had a lot of friends because I was kind of brought up there. So he stopped all the letters. He's told us not to speak in Hausa and French, because that is what we did. We didn't even speak in English. It was a kind of, a rebellion, that no, we don't belong to India, we belong to Nigeria, we'll speak Hausa only. If someone doesn't understand it, it's not our problem. So but then slowly we coped with it, and then we left for Rampur. And then when I was in college, my dad used to make me write letters in Tribune, letter to the editors. So he used to say, you write very well. And I was very fond of stories, and I have a vast imagination. I love imagining stuff, and I can imagine anything. And I can, even if you tell me that there's a plate of gulab jamun in front of you, and you imagine that you have eaten it, I will imagine that I've eaten it. I'll have a good taste of it. So I used to write a little bit on and off. So when I did my bachelor's in science, I have a family that is very supportive, and they will leave you on your own and say, do what you want to do. So then I sat and I started thinking, what do I want to do? In late 80s, 88, I finished my graduation. Most of the girls used to do teaching. So I thought, let me try my hand on teaching. So I went to different schools, and because my English was good, so it was perfect for me. But unfortunately, the students didn't take me seriously. And I realized they make fun of me. I don't want to teach. I'm not interested in teaching. So I came back and I told my dad, I'm not teaching. I'm not doing teaching because, so he said, what do you do when you go to the class? I said, I teach them. And then he said, what do you do later? I said, I sit and I have all their food because I'm very hungry. And they say, ma'am, do you want to have this biscuit? And I eat it. And then the next day they don't come and they say, ma'am has eaten it. So I said, I'm not comfortable because somehow I feel that a teacher has to be a friend, and the person who will groom you, and a person with whom you will talk about everything. So that's what I was doing as a teacher. So, but they are not much interested. I don't want to be a teacher. So he said, now what do you want to be? You want to be a doctor? I said, no, I don't want to be a doctor because I'm very scared about blood and all. I said, I don't want to be a doctor. So then I thought and then I thought, I'll become a journalist. So he said, why not become a journalist? I had that freedom actually always in me. So I came to this Himachal University and I applied for journalism. I had good scores, though I was not a very extraordinary student, but I was okay. I was good. And I still remember Professor Veppa Rao. He is the way I want. If I would have been a teacher, I would have been like sir. A parent, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, a philosopher, someone who told you that life is light, take it light, nothing is going to happen. So when I went there for the interview, I saw sir. He was about 45 years old that time. And of course, for me, he was like quite elderly because we were in our early 20s. But then I thought, this is good. I think I'm going to like this course because the teacher is good there. But I used to see the other students. They were like really in awe of him. I was more in love with sir actually because as a person, he was so extraordinary. And he was a philosopher. And somewhere maybe that philosophical cells he kind of, opened up in me too. That life is cool. Life is a deal that you have to play, whether good or bad. So sir was a great influence in our life, and we were the first batch. So I remember when I first went to the class, there were about 7 to 8 girls there, and there were about just 2 boys there. One was a friend Kaushik and the other was Shekhar. So I thought, this is such a small class, and sir was there and sir was teaching, and it was awesome actually. It was a very, very good lecture. I still remember that lecture when I was just sitting there and listening to him. And he had started not with the academics of journalism in that sense, and he, as I said, he was a very different teacher. He started with your attitude towards life, your connection with people, and and how you have to deal with them to bring out news and all. And it was there that I found out that I'm a very good reporter. I can go around, and he'd made us do a lot of practical work too. Because we used to bring out a newspaper, and I was the reporter of the class. So it was great fun because, as I said, I wasn't shy. So I used to go around with my bag and with my lunch in my bag, and I used to spend the whole day outside collecting news. And we had this group of friends who were very sincere. So one was Kaushik, one was Jyoti, and one was Rakesh, who is now my husband. And they were these serious guys. And then one was Nandini. She is now with the All India Radio. So they were really into the work. So we were these 5-6 people, and we used to sit till 8 in the evening, and we used to be discussing news and how to write it. So it was a good learning experience, and that is how you build friends around you. You get to know each other. So it was good fun, and we had a nice class. It was like a small railway, boogie kind of a thing. So you could look outside, and it was very interactive. Our classes were so interactive, and sir used to take us out. He used to take us to Ashiana. He used to give us chocolates and ice creams. It was such great fun. I think we didn't even feel as if we were in a classroom. It felt as if we were, going through life, enjoying life as it was. And of course, later we realized that we learned a lot. But at that time, it was all good fun. I met Rakesh in sir's office. he's a very intense person. So when I looked at him, and a very serious person in that way when I first saw him, and who is a very bohemian kind of a person, very casual about his clothes, about his hairstyle, but he had those I still remember when I looked at him, I said, my God, this is an intense person who's really serious about life. And I am more fairy tale kind of a person, very imaginative and a very, in a very light way. So I saw him there the first time, and he spoke very good Hindi. And though by that time my Hindi was good, but I couldn't speak the way he was speaking, and I couldn't even understand the words that he was saying. So I said, he's out of my league, I better be cool in my own place. But I really got to know him when we went for our internship in Delhi. What happened was that me and my friend Shekhar, we both were doing our internship in Midday, and we were also doing it in Indian Express. So when we were in Midday, they used to take us to these different functions as reporters, and they used to tell us to cover that event, and we had to sit there the whole day. So we were like kind of so irritated and flustered by being in Delhi, a very polluted place for us, because we had been living here in Himachal for so long. And then when we used to come back, we used to be irritated, they just make us sit there and do nothing, and they don't even make us write because we were interns. So one day we just made a story, me and Shekhar. We said we will tell all our class fellows who were doing internship there that, they have offered us an assignment to go to Thailand. Just a weird thing. But we don't have money, so we won't be going. And that day when we were there, and me and Shekhar, we were building on this story and saying that, yay, we have been selected to go to Thailand. So all of them were like very happy for us, and they said, really, that's very good. But we said we don't have money, so we won't be going. So I still remember when I came out of the room, we were staying in Himachal Bhavan. So Rakesh came and he said, you should go to Thailand. So I said, we can't go to Thailand, we don't have money, He said, we will collect money for you. So I looked at him and I said, what a nice person he is. And I still remember, I was like, I felt so guilty, with this story that we had built up. So I said, no, we'll think about it. He said, no, we'll collect the money for you. I said, from where will you collect the money? We were all students, all from average middle class families. He said, no, we will collect it. You leave it to me. And I was so impressed by him that day. And I kept telling all my friends, he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. He said, are you falling for him? I said, no, I'm not falling for him, but he's a nice guy. See, he's so good at heart and all. So, and that is the first time that I realized that, this person has something in him. So, when we finished our internship, I was 23 that time. So my dad told me that, now we're going to look for a boy for you. And as I said, my family is different. We were very open about it. I said, okay, good. He said, you need to click a photograph. So I said, okay, I'll go and click a photograph, a nice photograph. He said, wear a suit and go there. I said, fine, good fun. I went to this photographer on the mall, and I clicked a photograph with all my 32 teeth out, smiling broadly. And then I came back to the UNIV. We had finished our journalism, and then I showed it to all my friends. Look at my photograph. So Rakesh was sitting there, a friend was sitting there. He said, you will never be selected. I said, what do you mean? He said, this is not the way girls are, supposed to give their photographs with big smile on their face. I said, but this is what I am. That person should know I'm such a happy person. He said, no, you will never be selected. So I got a little disillusioned. So I took hold of my photograph. I still remember I was sitting on the steps, and I kept looking at the photograph, and I kept saying, I'm so pretty. Why will someone not select me? So Rakesh was sitting there, and he said, no, you're very pretty. You'll get selected. So this friend of mine, he said, why don't you two, kind of get together? And I was said, yeah, he's a friend that I love. He can't be husband material. Husband is someone who is serious and mature. And Rakesh said, no, I'm very mature and I'm very serious. I said, no, he's not. He's just a friend material. And then after some time, he kept meeting, and he kept telling me in a very subtle way, which that time I didn't understand because he was a friend. So he kept saying that, it will be good, we know each other. But I always used to keep thinking a friend. Our relationship was not love at first sight in that way, in the romantic way. Though we loved each other, but it was not love at first sight kind of a thing. So, and then slowly, I think Sir played a big role in it. Then I was selected in Statesman, and then I went to Delhi to join Statesman. But then when I was there, Rakesh was there. He was on his training. So then he called me to the restaurant, to Bengali market, and he told me that, now sir told me later, that I saw you both sitting in Bengali market, very serious, discussing life and times. And then Rakesh asked me questions, why don't you think that we won't get along and all? So I kept thinking, because we are friends. I mean, that was a big thing in my mind, that we are friends. I mean, husband is husband and friends. But now I realize, being a friend and then getting married, and I think it's a beautiful relationship for anyone. And then I came back to Shimla, and I was working in my office. A friend of mine called and she said, you come and I want you to meet a guy. And I got a little hyper. I said, I don't want to meet a guy. She said, no, I want you to meet a guy. You come to Ashiana, that's the restaurant on the mall. Just to get away from it, I said, you remember my friend Rakesh? She said, yes. I said, yeah, probably we are going to get together. She got super excited because she knew Rakesh. So she said, oh, that's a good thing. You better do it. This is really good. And then I started rethinking, what have I said to her? And then when I thought about it, I said, actually, it's not a bad idea. So I called up Rakesh in HIPAA. He was doing his training there. I didn't get him, but I left a message, and it was so coincident. Actually, it was a coincidence, frankly. Probably 4 or 5 days later, I would have forgotten about it. So when I called him up and he was not available, I reached the Univ and I sat in the bus, and in that same bus Rakesh sat, and I got super excited. And I said, Rakesh, I want to ask you something. He said, what? I said, are you still open to the offer of marriage? He said, no. I said, oh, really? I got a little disillusioned. He said, why? I said, it's okay then. If you're not open, then let's go back. I want to go to my office. You go to your training. He said, no, tell me why. I said, because I'm thinking about it. This is after nearly about 8 months of when first it was broached. So he said, yes, I'm open. So then I got a little. Then he said that, what we'll do is that I'll tell my parents. And he called up his mom that day only. And I was like, I didn't know what to say. And he said, I've chosen a girl, and she's the girl, and you talk to her. And my mama, I've had a very, very good relationship with my mama. She's a saint. She's my goddess, actually, my mother-in-law. So she was very sweet, and I got a little scared because, my parents didn't know anything about it. And then when I went, and then they said, now you go, Shashikant Rakesh told me, you go there, you tell your dad that, you have, you like a boy, and in that way. So when I went back home, my dad said that we have selected a boy for you. I said, oh, really? I forgot about Rakesh. I said, really? Who is he? He said, he is in the administrative services, and he is working as a Tahsildar. So I said, who told you? He said that, there's a guy there in the administrative. I knew that Rakesh is also doing his training. Then I said, it's okay, cool. So they called me up at 11:30 in the night. Have you told your dad? I still remember. I said, Dad? My dad says he selected a guy. So my dad he said, what are you talking about? I said, no, I think aag lag gayi hai. I got a little scared. I said, Daddy, aag lag gayi kahin. He said, kahan lag gayi aag? I said, my friend is saying, Shashikant is saying, Solan mein kahin aag lag gayi hai. So my dad said, acha, fir pata karo, go, you are a journalist, go and find it out. And then I really giggled away the whole night. But when I came back to Shimla, they were very angry with me. Shashikant and Rakesh, they both glared at me and they said, what did you do? He said he's chosen a guy, so I didn't know what to say. And then I said, it's okay, I'll get married to that guy. So then they said, okay. Then Rakesh called me the next day. He said, I know who the guy is. I still remember we were in Ashiana. He's a nice guy, he's told me. I said, really? He's very nice? Because I had a lot of faith on Rakesh. He said, he's nice, but he drinks a little. I said, oh, he drinks? He said, yes, when he drinks, then he falls down. I said, then he drinks a lot? I don't want to get married to him because he drinks so much. I didn't know Rakesh had made that up because I was very open about whatever I say. I used to be very open about it. I went back, I called up my dad. I said, Dad, he drinks. That guy that he chose for me, he drinks. He said, who told you? I said, my class fellow told me, he's also doing his training. He said, okay, we'll look into it. And then Rakesh, the one who was the middleman who had introduced that guy to my dad, Rakesh told that guy, don't go around finding boys for Meenakshi. I like her. Now you go and tell her parents that, that I'm the right guy for her. So then he went there, and I didn't know that Rakesh had said that to him. So when we were sitting there, and my father said, no, we have decided, that I'm not getting my daughter married to that guy that you chose, that Tahsildar. So he said, I know why your daughter is saying no. So my dad said, why? I said, why? I was also so very innocent about it. And then he said, there is another guy. He's the topper. He's a very nice guy. His name is Rakesh Kamar. So my dad said, so she doesn't want to get married to a bureaucrat. So we have decided we are not now interested. So she said, no, ask her again. He's a topper. And then I got a little embarrassed and I blushed, and then my mom caught on it. She said, who is this guy? You tell me now. So then I told my dad. Then my dad said that, okay, does he have land? Because we are landowners. So he said, my grandfather won't agree if he doesn't have land. I said, I don't know whether he has land or not. So he said, okay, we'll send someone to his village and we'll find out. So they went there. They said that no, they don't have much land. So they came back. So they told my dad they told my grandfather that, he doesn't have much land. So my grandfather said, okay, then we will not go in for the relationship. So my father asked me, I said, it's your wish. You tell me, I'll get married to anyone. Then my father got a little, scared that, what is she up to? So he said, no, we'll get in connection with connected with his parents. But by that time, my mother-in-law called and she said that, the kids are going to introduce us. So when they first met Rakesh, I was a little unwell. We were not engaged, and he came with sugarcane because I love sugarcanes, because we used to have a lot of sugarcanes in Nigeria. So my dad looked at the sugarcanes and he said, this is a good guy for her, So he came in the night, and then they said that, there's no relationship, so you cannot stay here. You will have to go. And I still remember my dad was like totally bowled over by Rakesh, just with those sugar canes and Rakesh. And he looked because Rakesh is a very simple, honest and a very good person at heart. You can see it on his face. So my dad was totally bowled over. Rakesh was very, very particular that no dowry and no big marriage. I was from a, landowner's family. They loved dowries and they loved big marriages. It was like a good show off, that we are, sending our daughter with all this stuff. And Rakesh was totally the opposite. So there was a lot of attention in the beginning, because when my parents used to bring those mithai ka dabbas and all, not my dad and all, but my grandparents and my chachu and all, they were into this, My father was totally amused about this whole thing. He said, it doesn't make a difference to me. The couple should be happy. Whatever they feel, it should be okay for them. And Rakesh was very adamant. So when they came for the shagan, he returned everything. So I still remember I was sitting in I'm more tomboyish, So when they were telling me that I have to, pierce my ears and all, and my dad was sitting with me and pampering me, doesn't matter, you pierce one ear, we'll do something about it. And he was trying to tell me, I think I pierced my ear one day before my marriage. So the other family members had gone for this shagan. So they came back and they said, yeah, this boy is really bad. They returned all our shagan, and they felt so humiliated. And I was like, give it to me then if he doesn't take it, What is the great fun? Give all this mithai to the people outside. So they said, no, we bought this mithai, it was so expensive, and you keep quiet, my grandfather said to me. And my dad was never involved in it all. He was more involved in what that beautician was doing to me and telling her, don't change her face, she's what she is, don't make her look different and all. So, and then my mother kind of said, it's okay, let's just finish off this thing. So when they decked me up in all that refinery, so this cameraman was there. So Rakesh doesn't like clicking photographs at all. So when this cameraman, I love talking, I am very human, I like interacting with people. So I was chatting away with glory with that cameraman, Bhaiya, from where are you, Bhaiya, this and that. And then he came back, he said, you're going to fall into trouble. He said, he's a horrible guy, how did your parents choose him? I said, what has happened? He said, he literally threw me out from when I was trying to click his photographs. I said, he doesn't like clicking photographs. He said, that's not the way it is done, So he was like very worried about me. And even after, I think nearly after 2 years, when I met him once, he said, are you okay? Are you fine with that guy? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine with that guy.
ने रख दिया, पाक है या है नहीं फैसला भी कर लिया। नाम मेरे इश्क का दुनिया ने रख दिया, पाक है या है नहीं फैसला भी कर लिया। तोहमत खा के मैं झुका के सर हारा, जुल्म है क्या ये तू बता दे ऐ खुदारा। फिर मैं कहाँ कहाँ लब पे रख पिया पिया। मौला मेरे इश्क का हाफिज है तू, तौबा फिर हर दम मैं करूँ भला क्यों। मौला मेरे इश्क का हाफिज है तू, दुनिया से फिर मैं यूं डरूं भला क्यों।
When we got married and we had decided that one of us will work, I left for Pangi. This is this tribal area, and I thought I'll have a bindas time there. But somehow after 4-5 months, because Rakesh had a job to do and I had nothing to do, and I was a teacher's daughter, so because Rakesh was a bureaucrat, he was an officer, so there were many helpers there. So suddenly my whole life changed. When I was in college, I used to cook, I used to take care of the house, I did everything like any other girl. So suddenly when you become an officer's wife, suddenly you lose all that, because everyone else is doing, even your water, your bucket, your everything, they will be doing, all the work they will be doing. So then after some time, I had left my job in Express, as we had decided only one of us will work. So then I started feeling a little bored also, and then there were no people there. It was a very landlocked area, in the sense snow-locked area. For 8 months, a lot of snow is there, and there was no roads there, so you had to walk 30-40 kilometers. So it kind of made me a different person, because I didn't know I am such a good walker. It was after my marriage that I could walk 40 kilometers. I could cross passes, and a couple of my books are on tracking, and that was when I got to know that I can track, and I have that kind of stamina in me, because I was brought up in Nigeria, where there were no tracks, no mountains, so I didn't have this experience earlier. So then I started writing actually, and that is why I became a writer, because I loved reading it before also, but Pangi was a place where I thought I can write stories about those people. So then I started writing, and that's how I've kind of finished with about 20 published books. Rakesh was posted in Rampur, so I was with my teacher. Rampur is just near Shimla. He was sub-divisional magistrate there, so I was just walking, me and sir, and there was mist around, and Shimla, the ambience was beautiful actually, and we could see lights, little lights far off. And then sir said that from the very historical prospect, he said that all these Britishers who must have lived here, and it must be beautiful that time. I said yes sir, and said sir, their ghosts must be having a good time. So he said, yeah, they're ghosts. Why don't you write ghost stories of Shimla Hills? So I said, sir, ghost stories? He said, yes, you'll find many good tales about it. So go and do a research-based project. Because you see, I'm no authority to prove or disapprove whether ghosts exist. But these stories are not fictionalized. These are real stories, inverted commas real. That means people who have encountered, a ghost or a spirit or some experience. So that is how the birth of ghost stories started. So it was that beautiful ambience and that lovely, and we thought that ghosts, it's such an ideal place for ghosts to live, live and let live. There are trees, there's a beautiful starlit, sky, and such nice mist and such a lovely environment. And that was how Ghost Stories of Shimla Hills came out. And it was a difficult project, but it was a good fun project for me in a way too, because I had to do a lot of research. So I did a research for about a year. I used to go around collecting ghosts, and people used to interview me from where are you, where have you come, you're finding ghosts. And once I went to this temple, this was actually a very, very bad experience. I went to this temple and there was some conversation going on. I didn't even know, between the Pantyani and another priest, and they were kind of haggling, or they were like arguing about something. So I kept standing there for a long time, and then in the end I thought, let me butt in and ask them that, so this was in but the story that came out was so beautiful. It's one of my favorite stories, the spirit takes revenge. It's in Kathu. So I kept saying, excuse me, please suniye. Then at the end, irritated, they looked at me. I said, देखो जी, ऐसा है कि मैं ना भूतों की कहानी ढूंढ रही हूँ, तो यहाँ कोई भूतों की कहानी तो नहीं है. They looked at me and there was this long big pole, a stick. And that woman said to that auntie said to that boy, he was young, he was like 25, मारो इसको, मंदिर में आई है और भूत ढूंढ रही है. For a moment I was like, this can't happen to me. I mean, they can't pick. We all three looked at that stick because they looked at it, so I looked at it, and I told myself, they can't do that. They can't pick a stick and start beating me up. But that's what they did. That boy ran. He took out that stick and he started running after me, and I cried and I ran from there. And there's a jail there. I don't know if they had brought a prisoner or what. I entered that jail. I was so scared, and the jail doors closed, and there was those two policemen with guns in their hands, and there was this first time I had seen a jail in my life. So it was like उसका बीच में एक मैदान सा है और इधर सारे वो cells है और वो ऐसे वो ना they suddenly saw a girl there in jeans, clutching a bag, and those two policemen with the guns there in their hands. And then I said, क्या, what? He said, jail में कैसे आ गए, jail में? And they started picking up phones, कि कोई अंदर घुस गया. And then I said, please call the DC. My husband is a magistrate. Please tell the DC I am Meenakshi. Please let me. And then I had no card or something, So they said कि नहीं, कैसे आएगी, कौन आएगी, इसको अंदर रख दो, कमरे में रख दो इसको. And then I literally begged. I said, I'm the STM's wife. I had to tell them the truth. And there was a guy who was after my life, and that's why I entered inside. And then they called the deputy commissioner. He is presently the ACS now, Ram Subhag Singh. And then he got angry with me. He said, what are you doing there in the jail? I said, I am not in the jail. I had to save myself. So I was here, and then I was so disillusioned. I still remember I came back home and told my friends, I'm not working on ghost stories. So they said, what has happened? I said, this has happened, and he was really going to hit me. But the story came out beautiful. Then again I went there. Then again I talked to people around there. Then there was another one incident that I can't forget. What happened was that there was something in Ambala. Some spy from Pakistan had been captured there. I had no idea about it at all. So when I went there, there's this Walker Hospital. So it's a beautiful location. It's open, and the Walker Hospital got burnt. So I thought there must be a story of some person there. So I went there, and there were these army personals there, and they were very nice. And I sat. I stayed there for 3 hours literally. And they told me, I'd asked them, is there a ghost story here? And we chatted and we had good fun. And then after some time, when I realized that there's no story, I said, bhaiya main jaungi. They said, acha theek hai, ab aap jao. And then when I was coming back, one of these army personnel came and he said, कि आपको ऊपर साहब ने बुलाया है. I was like excited. I said, चलो जी, अब कोई ghost story तो मिल ही जाएगी. When I went up, जिन लोगों ने मेरे से बात की थी, they were all standing in a line, और ऐसे आर्मी उसमें, and there was this officer there who was like pacing up and down, and I was like, army personnel हैं तो mannerful भी होंगे, they'll make me sit, and I wanted a cup of tea, तो lunch मैंने कर लिया था, मुझे लगा चाय वाय भी मिलेगी और मजा आएगा, कहानी भी मिलेगी. And then he looked at me, and then he didn't even tell me to sit, and he was still pacing, and he was kind of saying something, and then he pointed towards me and he said, Pakistani spy hai. I said, what? So I looked back, I said, kaun hogi Pakistani spy? And then all those 4 or 5 people, they were looking at me, and we had good time. We sat together, we discussed so much. So I said, bhaiya ye kya bol rahe hain? So they couldn't reply because naturally उनके बॉस थे. तो said, हमें क्या पता ये पाकिस्तान स्पाई है. I said, and then I got a little irritated. I said, मैं पाकिस्तानी स्पाई नहीं हूँ. He said, prove it. How do you prove that you're not a Pakistani spy? And he said, give me some credentials. That time there was no Aadhaar card. I didn't have a driving license. There was no PAN number. This is like about literally 20 years back. And I said, I said, call the DC, please call the DC. My husband is a sub-divisional manager. I'm not. And then I got really scared. I realized that they're serious about it. They said, we will not release her. हम पूरा वो करेंगे, चाहे 10 दिन लगे, हम इसको we will we will make a whole issue about it and we don't know who she is. I said, see, I'm Meenakshi Chaudhary, I'm a writer. They said, prove it. He kept repeating, prove it. How do you prove anything? So then I said, no, please call the DC. Then I had to call the DC again. And then I said, sir, now I'm in this art track, this guy is telling me I'm a Pakistani spy. He said, what do? You come here, I'll give you this a kind of a card that you are a writer and you're working on ghost stories. So ghost stories was a proper, जिसको बोलते हैं अच्छा खासा. I had to do a lot of work and prove a lot of stuff. And the process was not very exciting actually, frankly, because of all these various incidents. But the product that came out was good. And you see, when you write, first you write for yourself, and then you write, and then you feel good if someone says they enjoyed a book. See, every book should have, as Khushwant Singh says, it should have something which is informative, something which is interesting, and something which arouses your curiosity. Ghost Stories was the perfect packet. So when I was 31 years old, my friend of mine came from America, Sneh. She's a very close friend of mine. So she said that, you should regularly go in for checkups. So I had these fibroids in my breasts. So I thought that, no one goes for checkups in India. I mean, it's not something which is common. So she said, no, you have to go. So because of her, I went to the first doctor, and it was such an embarrassing experience actually for me, because I think it is embarrassing for any woman or any lady or any girl, because it is not something which is normal. So when I went to the doctor, and I told myself that there's no option, you have to do it, and you just have to go there and just focus, and he's a doctor, and let him just check you, and he'll tell you, and everything is going to be fine. It's just something that my friend has told me, and she's put this bug in my mind, so I need to go there. So I remember when the doctor was checking me, I got a little scared, because he kept repeating, no, did you have a problem earlier? How old are you? So I kept saying, no, I never had a problem. It's just because a friend told me that's why I'm here. So he said, no, why have you come here? No one comes like that. I said, I know, but she said that I should go, and that's why I'm here. So somehow he was very skeptical that how can someone just land up like that. So he kept repeating and telling me, and I got a little I'll say scared, in the sense that actually when the doctor is keeping and telling you that, you have a problem. And then when I came back, and he said, I'll give you the reports later. And then I came back and I told my husband, Rakesh, and he said, there's going to be no problem. I said, no, but he was so persistent. He said, okay, let's wait for the reports. So Rakesh is a very action-oriented person, and his imagination doesn't work the way my imagination, keeps on working and all. So when the reports came, so in the reports it was that I have fibroids and I need to check up every yearly. So it was like, what is this? I didn't even tell my parents, because I didn't tell my in-laws, because I didn't even tell my friends, except for me and Rakesh. No one knew about it. So he said, it's just fibroids, don't worry. And that time the net was not so, it was not there. So we didn't know much about it. But anyway, then every year I used to go for these checkups, and then I shifted to Chandigarh. When I was 39, after about 6 or 7 years of going to these regular checkups, and it used to be a difficult, I'll say very uncomfortable time when I had to go there, because it's not something that you will just take it in your stride. It's something which is very personal, especially for a woman, to go around and, let someone touch you and, look at you. So it was not something which you will just take it, it's okay, it's just like you have a, lump somewhere on your hand or in your feet, and you just go and show it to the doctor. So when after about 7 years, they had started doing a mammogram, because they said that this is the way that you'll get to know, it's an X-ray further. So when I was 39, I went for this, it was just like any other, a little uneasy, but it's okay now, everything is going to be fine. So we went to this clinic, and we waited for the doctor. The mammogram was done, and then she called me and she said that you have a lot of calcification in your breasts. I didn't know what calcification meant, because I'm not a doctor. So I thought maybe something. I said, yes, I have fibroids. She said, no, you need to see a breast surgeon. I said, what is she saying? So I got, she said, call your husband. So Rakesh came and she told Rakesh the same thing, that because Rakesh always used to go with me for this test. He used to sit outside. I used to go and do those tests, and they were painful also. Mammography is painful. So when I used to come back, I used to say that it's very painful, and then she said that no, you have to go to this breast cancer surgeon. So then Rakesh asked her in detail, and then I saw his his complexion, he going pale. So I realized that there's a problem, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was somewhere in me, but I was like kind of it was like small pieces were breaking inside me, whether it was, I don't know whether it was my heart or my brain or whatever it is, the mind, the feelings, but it was like cracks were coming inside me, but I was trying to hold myself together. And then Rakesh said that we don't know any breast surgeon, so what she said that first you should do is you go and do an FNAC. No, that's a kind of a biopsy. So we knew a very good doctor, a very good friend of ours. So she said that you should go there. So we went to this sector 17 and we went to the doctor, and she said, no, FNAC is no problem, I'll just do the FNAC. And then she checked the mammograms, and I could see it from her face that she's also not very comfortable about it. And suddenly the usual day, the normal day became, it was a whole shift came in our lives. So when she did the FNAC, she checked it that time on the microscope, and she told Rakesh that she has cancer. And that was for the first time that I heard cancer, she has cancer. And I still remember that we both got very, very disturbed about it. It was very natural, because cancer, one, it's a taboo, and second, it is a fatal thing that you may live or you may not live. It's more you may not live, because someone tells you have a cancer, it's more on the face that you may not live. So I remember I sat on the bench and Rakesh forgot all the reports. So he went running to get the reports, and I just sat there and I thought I'll run away. I mean, what should I do? I think probably I should run away. So I thought, where will I run away? I don't have money. And then I saw my whole life like a cinematographer film, and I was like for half an hour, because I think Rakesh was talking to the doctor and all there, and I said, what has happened? I mean, it was like as if my book, which was open, every page was open, it had closed up. So then we went home, we went to Solan, we had because it was decided, and then Rakesh had to take a decision that where he's going to take me. I was sitting in the vehicle, and I was just thinking that when I came, the whole world was different, and now when I'm going back, the whole world is different. I may not even look at these people again in my lifetime. And I remember I went home, and both of us, we kind of sat on the settee, and Mama said, what has happened? And we could not say this word. We could not, it was so difficult for us to say cancer that time. So this is like 11, 12 years back. So, and we were young, we were just 39, and suddenly something like this had happened. We had not heard about it in our family and all. And my dad, he was now on the brink of dementia. So when Rakesh told my mom that we have a problem, she said, what has happened? What has happened? Because she didn't know that we were regularly going for these checkups. So then Rakesh said he was so hesitant to use the word. I still remember that raw pain in his eyes when he said that word. And my mom, she sat on the bed. She's a very courageous woman. And she said that it's okay, we'll fight with God. This is what she said. And then we both cried. Me and Rakesh, the whole night we both cried. We slept in the same bed and we cried. And then Rakesh called up Sir. Sir came, Veparao Sir, and he took me out. And then he told me, it's nothing, you're going to be okay. Because as I said, Sir is a mentor, Sir is a philosopher, Sir is a teacher, Sir is a parent. I mean, probably I could not discuss this with my mom, but I could discuss it with Sir. And then he took me for a walk, and he said that, it's going to be fine, you're going to be okay, nothing is going to happen, there's a lot of treatment. And then Sir went away. And I kept thinking about my house in Shimla, and I thought, everything that I left there is just like that. I never thought that this is going to happen. So, and then Rakesh started taking leave, he started talking to doctors, and because he's a very practical person, he got busy in that action. But I could see that disturbance in his whole body and his whole voice when he was talking to people. And then I remember then it was decided that we should go to Rajiv, we should go to PGI, and then we should go to Rajiv Gandhi. So then he said that we have to go, and I was very down, I was very numb with the shock. I was more like a robot, at least for about 10 days. It was just because of the support around me and because of Rakesh's very action planned and this thing. And then we had to tell our in-law, my parents, my in-laws too. And it is so difficult to tell your parents that you are ill. And at the age of 39, when you know your parents are also in their 65 and their 70. And I've been given so much of love. I was so scared to tell them because I've thought that I'm going to break their hearts. And so when I remember, because my father was, when Mama said that they're going to the hospital the next day, when we had to go, we had no option. And then my dad brought a mithai, dabba of mithai, and he said, mitha kha lo. And now I think that maybe he did it consciously. That time Mama got a little irritated. She said, mithai ki baat kar rahe ho, she's not well. He said, nahi, mitha khao, mithe ne to kuch nahi bura kiya na. Because as I said, my life, the way I have been groomed is always that it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge for long. I don't carry a baggage. Now, presently, I don't even remember. If someone reminds me, then I remember, oh, yes, I'm a cancer survivor. Otherwise, I don't remember. But at that time, those 1 month was heavy. In fact, till my operation, I was diagnosed on the 26th of July, and on the 9th of August, I was operated. So those 15 days were bad. So then when we went there to PGI, and they said that the doctor said there that yes, it's cancer, and we'll think about it, and we don't know which stage it is, but we will have to wait because we have a lot of patients already. So then Rakesh said we'll go to Rajiv Gandhi, and then there was another shift because the doctor team there, Dr. Geeta and Dr. Harit Chaturvedi, they were so good. They were so good. They made me feel as if it's nothing. It's a disease. You know, and now I realize how much difference it makes if the doctor is like that, especially when the diseases are fatal. If you have diabetes or you have other, maybe a fracture, it's okay. But if you have some fatal diseases like, cancer, now cancer has changed. Now the world of cancer has changed. There's a lot of treatment. Earlier there wasn't. So then they said, no, it's going to be okay. We're going to do it and all. And we decided that the doctors are good. And I remember when I went to this Dr. Geeta, I asked her a question, and she still remembers that question. I said that if it had happened to you, where would you have gone? So she looked at me straight in my eyes and she said, I would gone to Dr. Harit Chaturvedi if it happened to me. I said, then I'll go there. And when I talk about love, like I do a lot of motivational speeches and I interact with, I do a lot of counseling. This is what I say, that love has a big role in your life. I was just a thread lost. I was one small thread lost somewhere in this cosmos. But there were so many other threads who were tying up. And then we made a beautiful tapestry, whether it was family, it was friends, it was Rakesh's friends, it was the doctors, it was the people who had that empathy in them. And there was, I have a couple of friends who are so witty. They take life there's so much humor in them. Like I have Shashikant, I have Lalit. They are very, very witty people. I have Note. So they said, yeah, it's okay. See that, I used to sit when I used to go for my checkups or something. So I used to be sitting on a bench. So a lady used to be watching me. So that lady is getting scared of you because you have cancer. Go and touch her. So they would just laugh about it, and they would take it so lightly. So this is where that feeling of love comes, that how strong it makes you. Because there were so many other threads. It was my parents, my in-laws, my brothers, my siblings, my sister-in-law, my teacher, my other friends. And then we all made a beautiful tapestry and then we all moved together. That single thread which was all lost in this cosmos, it had that building up, ek ne yahan se joda, wahan se joda, knots bane, and then we all moved ahead. So first 15 days were bad for us, and I still remember that human being has so much of capacity. I remember once I was lying down, I was not yet operated, and I saw a spider. So I said, oh my God, there's a spider. And then I said, silly girl, you have cancer and you're worried about a spider. what kind of a person are you? So I got up and said, I'm not scared of a spider. So, and this is how it slowly, you get that courage. See, you need courage in life for everything. Courage has to be there everywhere. Any other emotion, any other quality can still be a little small, a little less, a little more. But courage has to be persistent. It has to preserve through your life. So, and human beings have courage. I think everyone has courage. And some things really, some words really mattered to me. Some phrases that some of them told me, like Rakesh had once told me that you have to be brave. I said, how do I be brave? He said, go stand in front of the mirror and say, I'm brave, I'm going to be fine. So it was silly doing that, but then I went there and I stood in front of the mirror and I said it, and it made a difference. And then he said that, like if I smiled after a week or something. So he said, if you smile, it lights up my life. So I said, why not smile? I mean, if I only have to smile and do nothing else, and it lights up the love of my life's life, why not? What difference does it make? So I used to smile. So all these things, because it was more. And then I remember that when, once I lost my hair and all, it didn't make a difference to me. What is hair as compared to your whole life? So when I lost my hair and all, they used to say, you look like a cute monk. So my friends, my relatives, everyone was like, they were so full of love, and I used to feel, oh, I look like a monk. But when someone used to come from outside and I could see the pain in their eyes, and I realized, oh my God, this person is feeling bad for me. So I used to make an effort so that that person doesn't feel bad. I'm fine. I used to talk about stories and I used to make them feel good. And then when they used to go back, then I used to be exhausted because, after chemo, you are exhausted. And they used to say, why do you put so much of pressure? I said, that person was feeling so bad for me. So I didn't want him to feel bad. So let me make him comfortable. Because probably every human being has that inherent in you. And then slowly. And then, but there was something which was always, it was always, the pain was always there. Somewhere the pain was there. It would just come up. So as I'm a writer, so I thought as a catharsis, why don't I write about this experience? And I'm so glad I did. I remember when I started writing, it was 14th February. It was Valentine's Day, and me and Rakesh, we were sitting on top of a small mountain in near Sanjoli, and we had this diary in our hand, and I started jotting the points, and then he said, this is our Valentine gift, we'll bring out a book. Not for others, it was not for other people, it was more for us. So then I started writing about it, and then Sir, my teacher, he edited the book, and then even till then it was more for me. Then a friend of mine said that publish it. I said, publish it? He said, yeah, it's going to help others. I said, I don't know whether it will help or not. He said, no, it will help, you publish it. So and then Sir edited the book, and then the book came out, and then the big huge function was organized for that book, because it was more on cancer, and because cancer, especially for a woman, breast cancer is a taboo, and so many people got connected, and so many people started working for it. We have this trust. We had opened it before I was diagnosed with cancer, and we started doing a lot of work in that trust, and there were some very, very dedicated people who are still doing it, like Kalpana. She is still working on this. And then we went for these clinical checkups, and then a shift came in my life, like you were doing something for yourself which was making you strong. It was not that you were doing it for them, you were doing it for yourself. And then you started going and counseling other people who were scared about hair, because everyone is different. They may be brave in some other section, but they're not brave in some other section. So many women are always very skeptical and scared that they're going to lose their hair. So I used to go around, show them my hair and tell them, see, I've got hair again. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. So in a way, it was a good phase. Again, as I said, that, my nature is that way, that this is a part of life. It is there. You have to cross that, and then you have to move ahead. So slowly and slowly the strength came back, the confidence I gained very early. Actually, after 1 month of that, probably the confidence was more in myself, because I still remember, because of my chemo, Rakesh didn't allow many people to come and meet me. So, and I'm a very human person, so I used to open all the windows and start screaming to people, hey, I'm here, talk to me, I'm having a good time, look at the weather, look at the flowers, and stuff like that. And then slowly I started walking. I still remember when I walked after about 5-6 months after my chemo, my limbs were so weak I could not take a step. I mean, it took me, I'm a walker, and it took me more than 3 hours to cover 3 kilometers, but we did it slowly and steadily. And it's always one step at a time, whether it is writing a book, whether it is coming out of a disease, whether it is cooking some food, whether it is doing anything, it's knitting, it's one step at a time. And it becomes easier, because when you start thinking about the next step and the next step, and then slowly, you know, you physically you become better, mentally you become better, spiritually you become better. And then after about 2 years the book was published, and it helped many. I think in life only, see, normal can never be normal. Normal is always a step. So when I was detected with cancer and 15 days were bad, I was like a robot. I didn't know what is happening. I was too numb with shock. But then later, every step was normal. Smiling was normal. You know, looking at someone who you love, smile, or cut you a piece of fruit was normal. You eating something which you never thought would be important was normal. You taking a step outside your room and sitting in the drawing room was normal. That is why life is one step at a time. Your walking 1 kilometer was normal, and then 10 kilometers were normal, and then 18 kilometers was normal. You're laughing and sitting with your friends, there's no having no hair in your, your ball was normal. Having next step, having hair, curly hair on your head, I had very straight hair, was normal. Going to a wig shop to buy a piece of wig for yourself was normal. You had cancer, but you're looking around, Katrina design, Kareena Kapoor, or you want this blunt cut. I remember my brother had come, my younger brother from Singapore, Deepak, had come, and he was super excited looking at the wigs. And by that time, probably it was not even my first chemo. I hadn't lost my hair. So they took me to this big mall where there were a lot of wigs, and we were like zapped looking at, he said, Didi, this design is nice, Didi. That was normal. And I was like, yeah, you're being silly. I don't like this hairstyle. No, I want my normal hairstyle. No, Didi, let's leave the normal away. We're going to take a new hairstyle. That was normal. So normal is not something which you'll say, I've reached normal. Every step was normal. Maybe going to the washroom alone was normal. Taking a bath alone, because chemo really makes you weak. So for months, someone used to bathe me, whether it was Rakesh, if it was my friend Deepshika, they used to come and bathe me. Maybe the first day when I bathed all alone was, wow, normal.
रात के साए हो गहरे, अगर राह दिखाने को जुगनू भी हो, खोया हुआ जो हो मेरा सफर, मोड़ पे ठहरा हुआ तू भी हो, खाली न जाए ये दुआ मेरी, खाली न जाए ये दुआ, तेरे किनारे है, तेरे सफीने है, तेरे ही दरिया में, दुआ में आखिरी है इल्तिजा।